ובהמשך לעניין הזה מצטרף אלינו עכשיו חאזם אלגברה. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Former senior advisor in the U.S. State Department. Thank you so much for being here with us. First question I want to ask you is, what do you see as the most pressing challenges currently facing Israel particularly and the whole region?
Very interesting question, very large question. For Israel, we need to keep the eyes on the hostages. Hostages. They need to come back. And when they come back, we can have conversations about the ceasefire, everything else. We have American hostages as well. We want those back. Obviously, it's a changing world, not only in the Middle East, but even in the United States. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. Anti-Israel sentiments are being peddled even on television in the United States, something we haven't witnessed in decades. So there's a lot of work to be done. And we're lucky to have Trump coming in. That took a lot of work, by the way, but he is the next president. But that doesn't mean complacency or laziness and have him think this is good time to double down on our efforts, to fight the enemies, and seize that moment when Trump is on the side of Israel.
Secretary Blinken said in an interview with the New York Times yesterday, quote, when the pressure was growing on Israel, Hamas has pulled back from agreeing to a ceasefire and the release of hostages, end of quote. Do you think that the U.S. should have acted differently in terms of the hostage deal?
It's, how many rounds have we gone through so far? 10, 15, 20? Yeah. Obviously, there's not enough pressure on the other side. The other side has the hostages. Cessation of hostilities can happen any second. But till we have, and every time they go back, it's like, oh, we're not sure how many are alive. We're not sure how many are still there. We need to go back and check. Obviously, there's a tactic to delay. And Hamas has this idea that the longer this takes, the worse Israel's position in the international community will become. I don't think they see that attrition anymore, but they're going to keep trying. I think, again, there needs to be pressure from Qatar, from Egypt, Jordan, from that side that can pressure Hamas.
How can they pressure Hamas?
I mean, they are the only international community members with ties to Hamas.
But practically, how can they?
Practically, we're talking about the day after situation. Who's going to come and rebuild Gaza? I don't think Israel should be obligated to rebuild Gaza. It's going to be an Arab international community effort. Jordan, Qatar, Egypt will be on the forefront of that. Hamas needs to understand this is not like a 2-day problem. This is a 20-year problem, and they need to be pressured from that angle, from that approach. To say, if you want the future to be for your people, again, Hamas. Let's be clear. The U.S. hasn't said this clearly for a while. Hamas has no future in the region, in the world, anywhere else. They need to fold, dissolve, whatever they need to do. But Gaza needs to be rebuilt one way or another.
Mr. Elgabra, we're 2 weeks before President Trump's inauguration. What recommendation would you make for the future directions of the U.S. role here in the region?
It's an important question because there are new distractions. Syria is now an issue. Obviously, it's distracting a lot of people, including Europe. Iran continues to be the biggest bad actor in the region. There needs to be no distraction from Iran's role, Iran's problem, and obviously the nuclear program seems to be being expanded right now one way or another. Obviously, the Houthis are a big problem as well. And Trump has been very clear that once he's elected, the Houthis problem is going to get resolved quickly. Obviously, Iran would be next, naturally. Again, I have to say this again. We need to get the hostages back. We need clear effort to do that.
As a Syrian-born individual, what are your thoughts on the current situation in your
It's interesting.
In your
Obviously-
past home country.
Yeah. Obviously, this is not, despite what some people will tell you on social media, this is not Mossad's doing, this is not CIA's doing. This was very organic in Syria. Obviously, the failed army of Assad collapsed after Iran, couldn't support him anymore. Russia couldn't support him anymore. I think it's up to the Syrian people to decide where they want to go from here. We would like them to go to peace with Israel and everywhere else in the region. We would like a better future for Syria, and Syria to become a better actor in the region and globally. It's going to take time. Also, we always say in the State Department and foreign affairs, decisions are always made based on challenges and opportunities. Syria can be the worst challenge we've faced in a long time, or it can be the biggest opportunity we've had in a long time. But Syrian people need to make good decisions.
All right, so we'll have to wait. Mr. Xazem Elgabra, thank you so much for being with us, and have a nice time here in Israel.
Thank you. Thank you.
לוחם צה"ל. אתם יודעים מה? קודם אנחנו חייבים משהו, אז נגיד את זה עכשיו. אנחנו רוצים להגיד שחאזם אלגברה, שראיינו עכשיו, נמצא כאן בישראל מטעם מכון ירושלים למדיניות ולביטחון. אז תודה על הראיון הזה.